What's up, sports fans? I'm KC James with your NBA report. Training camps opened up all across the association this week, and unless you've been in outer space somewhere the last few months, you know that the Miami Heat made a huge splash in the offseason by locking up the biggest free agent ever when the King, LeBron James, changed his address from Cleveland to South Beach, and along with Chris Bosh coming over from Toronto to join D Wade and form what could be the greatest 1-2-3 punch in league history. Not since the early 70s when the Lakers had Elgin Baylor, Wilt Chamberlain, and Jerry West has one team had three impact players like this all together at the same time. On paper, this should be the greatest team ever assembled. They should destroy everybody and rack up the championships and win ring after ring after ring, right? Wrong. Because last time I checked, championships aren't won on paper. They're won on the court. You've got to get it done on the wood. I seem to remember that Baylor, West, and Chamberlain, all three Hall of Famers, never won a championship together. And there's no guarantee that Bron, D. Wade, and Chris Bosh will either. One thing I do know is this team is going to have more pressure on it to win than any team has ever had. They're going to have more pressure on them than an 18-year-old does trying to score on prom night. You feeling me? And there's a few other teams around the league that's going to have a little bit to say about what happens this year in the NBA. The Celtics, they've gone out and retooled a bit. They signed the two O'Neals, Jermaine and Shaquille. Now, even though I think Shaq doesn't have anything left and all he's doing is chasing rings trying to keep up with Kobe, and I'll leave that for another show. But the big three there, Garnett, Pierce, and Allen, they're all set to make one last championship run. There's another team in Florida that everybody seems to be forgetting about, the Orlando Magic. They were in the finals 2 years ago, and they still have Dwight Howard, also known as Superman. The Atlanta Hawks are going to be improved. And there's a team in Los Angeles that has a guy you might have heard of, number 24, the best closer in the game, the best player in the game. They don't call him the Black Mamba for nothing. Kobe Bryant and the two-time defending champion Lakers are going to have a lot to say about what happens in the playoffs in June. So for the Heat to win a championship, a lot of things have to happen. A lot of things have to come together. Number one, you've got to be healthy. Number two, your bench has to produce. And number three, your role players have to support the stars. I mean, Pat Riley, the architect, has gone out and got some pretty solid guys to put around them. They signed Mike Miller, who's a three-point shooting specialist, and because of that, the floor can open up. It'll make driving lanes for Bron and D Wade because both those guys love to go to the rack. And LeBron, he's like a freight train. I mean, dude is a Mack truck in shorts. You just better get out of his way when he makes up his mind to take it strong. D Wade, he loves to swerve and get his freak on and get to the cup too. They re-signed Udonis Haslem at the 4 spot to back up Chris Bosh, and they'll need his physical presence to go down inside and do the dirty work. The Heat also signed LeBron's former teammate in Cleveland, Zydrunas Ilgauskas, Big Z, and even though I think he's soft, if he can give them just a little production from the center position, that'll be enough for this team. Another key factor for the Heat is going to be the play of young point guard Mario Chalmers. He's going to have to not be intimidated by the big three, run the floor, make sure that everybody gets enough shots and dish the rock because one thing is there's only one basketball and you got to try and keep all these guys happy. And look, these guys are used to all individually being the man. And now to win a championship, though, they have to become the men. And Eric Spoelstra is going to have to mold this group into a cohesive unit, not just offensively, but defensively, because we all know that talent wins games but defense wins championships. So all those things have to happen. All those things have to come together. So for the Heat to be playing in June, I think everybody needs to back up off all the championship talk. Let's not fit these guys for any rings yet or pass out any trophies. Let's wait and see what they do. Wait and see if they get it done. Because you know that old saying, they ain't done nothing yet. But I do know one thing. This is going to be a great season for the NBA because it is the greatest game. And in the last 25 years, it's going to be one of the most important seasons, too, because there's a cloud hanging over the association because there's a labor dispute, and we could see a work stoppage after the playoffs in June because the players are millionaires, the owners are billionaires suing each other for more millions. And all that can happen is the fans are going to be left out of the gym, and nobody wants to see that. But I do know whatever happens, I'll be right here to cover it for you. Coming up next time on the NBA Report, I'm going to give you the 4-1-1 on the Eastern Conference and then the Western Conference and tell you who I think will be playing for the championship in June and which team is going to ultimately pop the champagne corks. So make sure you keep it locked in right here. I'm KC James, and for this edition of the NBA Report, I'll see you next time, and make sure that all your shots hit the bottom of the net.